Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Stacy.
And I'm your co-host, Sarah.
And our first story, I think, is really, really sweet in that Mariah Carey helped a couple get engaged. I'm not sure helped is the right word, but
played a part or
it was involved in the engagementing.
Mm-hmm. I misread the notes on this. And so when I first read it, I thought that she proposed to the guy, and I was like, that's rude. It was one of her dancers' partners. And
right.
Yeah, so.
Well, that would actually be very interesting if you proposed to your dancer on stage.
Well, no, I mean, I thought it's so brought one of her dancers' partners on stage so she could propose to him. I read that as like Stacy, you're my backup dancer, and I call your boyfriend up, and then I propose to him.
Right?
It's just rude.
Yeah, that would be like a really bad hidden camera prank.
I promise never to do that to you.
Thank you. Although, why would I be backup dancing? What song am I backup dancing to you for?
I don't know, because since I don't really have a music career, I'll come up with something.
I was very excited about that for a moment.
It'll be a musical.
Yes,
some
of course.
kind of, something from a musical.
Absolutely. So yeah, this was at a concert, and it seems she had this planned out beforehand with the dancer's partner. Mm-hmm. She brought forward one of her backup dancers, and then brought out his partner. And I'd love to know what the backup dancer thought was going on at this moment. Right. Like, did we take because I've never actually seen a Mariah Carey concert, period. So I don't know if this was like a regular part of her concert where she features a dancer or a member of the cast or something. Mm-hmm. Cast? Would it even be a cast? I clearly think in terms of movies.
I mean, it's a sort of, let's just go with cast.
And is like, hey, this is so-and-so, and they're my dancer, drummer, what have you, just so you know. Or maybe this was the thing where it was everyone, because I do know a lot of artists do that, where they're like, give it up for my keyboardist, give it up for my whatever person. They'll acknowledge each of the different people who appear on stage with them. But whatever the reason was, she had brought the dancer forward and then brought up his partner and then went off to the side, and the partner had a mic and proposed to the dancer on stage. Aww. And it was very cute. But I love just off to the side, she's being somewhat distracted, but like still kind of paying attention.
Oh no.
Like multitasking the surprise engagement I helped set up in my glamorous gown because I'm Mariah Carey. But then B, I also love the fans' responses, because Mariah Carey's fans can be, I don't even know what to call them, like uber fabulous. I'm going to go with uber fabulous.
Okay.
As Mariah Carey can be herself. And so there was a lot of like, nothing can top this, and, getting engaged in front of the queen. A lot of fans called her the queen.
Oh, nice.
For some reason, I was like, I don't know that I'm not married, so I don't know that I would ever have such an interesting engagement story. But can you imagine telling me, remember when I proposed to your father on the concert stage? Like, it would be one of those things. And you have it now on video because lots of fans were filming it. So it's like, Look at us when we were young before you were born.
Look at your parents' engagement on the internet.
Right, yeah.
Big splashy proposals like this always make me slightly nervous, because what if the person says no?
Yes.
Or what if they feel pressured and they say yes, but they're like, oh, crap,
and then they say no
yes.
later. Yeah. Yeah. Or like when they propose at games on like the kiss cam, I'm just like,
right. I mean, yeah. And if it were me and I didn't really want the person to propose, I'd be like, I can't say no right here. That's horrible for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So note up, future spouse, if you're out there listening, don't do a big flashy proposal for me. Do a nice, sweet, meaningful one, but don't do a big, flashy one where I'm going to feel pressure to say yes, because that will not start off our marriage well.
I would second that, but since I'm already married and since I was the one that did the proposing, I can't really say anything.
But yours wasn't in front of everyone.
No, it was not. It was just the two of us.
It was intricate, but it wasn't public.
No.
So, intricate, fine. Public, yeah. Thankfully, the dancer did say yes. He was very happy, or at least he appeared very happy. I don't know. Maybe he also felt pressured.
Right.
But it appears
he looks genuinely happy.
This all went down well, and Mariah Carey looks very regal still.
Yes, she does.
In the video. It's almost just like, I'm now questioning if this was the partner's idea or Mariah Carey's. If like she kept hearing her dancer talking about this guy and then like approached him herself, was like, you should ask him to marry you at my concert on the stage, and I think you should get that ring. No, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Mariah Carey to do something like that, but I don't think that's what happened in this case.
Well, and I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking, okay, so it's your partner. He dances with Mariah Carey, so you've probably met Mariah, but then like how friendly are you? I would feel really nervous if, in my case, my husband worked with somebody very well known and kind of over the top fabulous. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, hi, I wonder if you could maybe help me.
Right? Yeah. Like, how do you approach her to be like, so I want to do this really special thing, but okay, never mind. I'll go later. Yeah, that would be really hard.
I mean, I don't know her at all. She could be a lovely person and just down to earth in real life, or I don't know, But
I'd still probably I'd be nervous even just to do that, like with a non-famous person. Like I wouldn't, again, I don't want a flashy public proposal, but even if I had somehow changed personalities and decided to do that, I'd be very nervous to do that at my hopefully future spouse's work or something.
Right.
In front of the people you work with. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah. And to change gears slightly, just because I think we kind of mentioned a similar thing on a previous show, which was I missed 7-Eleven Day.
Oh.
Seriously, if I'm just going to go off and give the benefit of the doubt that everyone I know didn't know also, except for Sarah did, but she didn't tell me.
Well, I found out on the day, so I didn't really realize that I needed to immediately email you. Right. I will do better in the future.
Okay, so Sarah also has the excuse of we didn't know at the time. But yeah, I'm not aware, and I get why it would be, especially in July, because it's hot and this is summer and we're all in a more festive, happy mood. But there seems to be a lot of sweet treat here holidays, to the point that July 15th was actually National Ice Cream Day, which, very interesting. I did actually get ice cream on July 15th, but not because it was National Ice Cream Day.
It was a coincidence.
Because my air conditioning is broken and it's July and it's hot, and I was just like, you know what? I want something cool.
I accidentally got a donut on National Donut Day. I found out later that it was National Donut Day.
Did you get it for free?
No, sadly.
Yeah, and where I went for ice cream was not one of the places that was doing a free or a discount or anything for National Ice Cream Day.
Have you ever looked at one of those websites that gives you all of the every day? I mean, there are so many holidays in the world, and I used to look at it, and I mean, every day of the year will have up to 10 different random things of the day that it is, and some of them are super random.
Yeah, I've totally half seriously thought about finding a website that lists all of those random things and marking it on my calendar and finding the nearest location to go and do whatever. I remember, and I somehow still managed to not do it 2 years in a row, but my freshman year at college found out that Chipotle would give you a free burrito on Halloween if you came in with the costume.
Oh.
But I didn't find that out till I was on my way to class and I just saw a bunch of people in line at Chipotle in costumes and was like, what is going on? And my friend told me, and I was like, well, I can't. I've got to go to class. And then when I got out, it was closed.
Oh.
And then forgot both years following that. So it's just like, dang it.
Okay, so I just went to the
random holiday
that I do, and today is Invite an Alien to Live With You Day.
Yes! I am down for that.
Legal Drinking Age Day, National Be Someone Day, National Junk Food Day, National Strawberry Rhubarb Wine Day. I'm telling you, there are some specific days.
I feel like Legal Drinking Age Day should be whatever your 21st birthday is.
I agree.
Shouldn't that be a individual holiday sort of thing?
I would think so.
But actually, it turns out that July 15th, last year, was not National Ice Cream Day because it's one of those that's not on a specific day.
Right, it's the third Saturday of the month or something.
Yeah, it's like Mother's Day. It's it keeps changing. But that July is actually National Ice Cream Month. That was set up by, I want to say Reagan. One of the presidents essentially made July National Ice Cream Month and was like, go out and have ice cream. And I'm like, you know what? It's July. It's summer. Cool. I'm down with that. But really, it's like the turkey pardons for presidential. I'm like, you are the president of the United States. I'm sure you have a gazillion other more important things to do. Why is this a thing? It's just really, why is this a thing?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm down. I know there were places that did like discounts on National Ice Cream Day, but none of them were near me because the like big main name ice cream place near me was like, no, you know what? We're good. And they had a line out the door, so they clearly didn't need to give discounts to have people come in. People were like, it's 100 something. And maybe they also knew it was National Ice Cream Day, but either way, there were a lot of people getting ice cream on that day. So they don't need to, you know, tell you to get you in the door. They do well on their own business-wise. So.
Yeah. Last Sunday. What was I doing last Sunday? I don't know.
Ice cream?
I was not eating ice cream.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, not being on the new trying to get healthier program.
I have given myself until August to try and get to that stage. So I've got like a month period to sort of wean myself down off sugar, and then of course that's not going to work.
That never works for me because I'm always like, I'm just going to eat a whole bunch and then
right?
quit, and then it's like, okay, yeah, now we sound like we're on the health and wellness podcast.
That is the health and wellness podcast. So we're going to get off that, and we're going to actually take a short break here. So stay tuned.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. Our listeners, of course, can be anywhere. That's the joy of podcasts, and also can be listening, you know, whenever. Mm-hmm. I mean, not in the past, unless you have a time machine. In which case,
please come and pick us up and take us somewhere fun.
Yes, but anytime in the future. So I have totally, if I find a podcast I like, I'll go back and download a whole bunch of the episodes. Mm-hmm. And so they'll be talking about, you know, something that happened in 2014, and I'm like, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that. Oh
yeah, we're past that. That's not gonna happen. And I get frustrated if there's ever anything where it's like, if you know, they'll have a raffle or prize or whatever, so you must enter by whatever. I'm like, no, most definitely that has been passed. Congratulations to whoever won 3 years ago. I hope you enjoy whatever it was. But so anyways, we are in California in 2018 as we're saying this. Mm-hmm. And it has just happened, and this stirred up a lot, particularly in California, and actually to the point that I'm sure there were people outside of California who commented on this, but California is a big state, and so I think most of the comments were California people, because this affects them, in that there was a proposition to split California into 3 states that had gained enough, what do you call it?
Support? Signatures?
Signatures.
Yeah, okay.
That. I was like, there's something they have to do to get on the ballot, but I can't remember what it is because
signatures?
I've never actually tried to get anything on a ballot. But yeah, had gotten to be on the ballot, and then the state Supreme Court was like, wait, hold up, time out. And it's not dead, the proposition. It's just not allowed to be on the November ballot because we have to look at like the pro cons or whatever of it, what might possibly happen if this was allowed to go to a vote. But this proposition was to split California into 3, and this keeps coming up. And I'm just why?
And it keeps coming up in various iterations. You know, there's the 2 Californias, there's the 6 Californias, there's the 6 Californias that became 3 Californias.
Right? There's like California secede. There's like, I love California, and I get it's an interesting state, and I'm from Northern California, and I definitely can see differences between Northern and Southern California. Yeah. But even with Northern California, like, I always find it so interesting when you see these things that it's just like, okay, just draw it from like essentially that corner line where we, you know, sort of curve around Nevada to the coast, and that's Northern California. I'm like, yeah, but once you like get up into the north and the mountains, things are a little different. like it almost really doesn't feel like California. And I have driven straight through California to Oregon. And if it wasn't for the sign that was like, welcome to California, I would not know I was in California for like several more hours worth of driving, because it just does not feel typical California. And when you think of Northern California, you know, people often think of like the Bay Area, and I'm like, yeah,
or wine country,
right? And I'm like, the Bay Area and like, you know, the northernmost mountainous counties, not the same. Definitely not the same. But in the same way, the Bay Area and like San Diego, also not the same. So I get the idea, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know.
Well, and then you've got places like Los Angeles and Bakersfield. I mean, there's so many different. California is kind of fascinating in the variety it presents.
It is, and like, it is big, just land wise. I get that, especially when I talk to people from the East Coast who talk about like driving from one state to the other in what seems like ridiculously short amount of time. And I'm just like, that. No, what? you can't, you live in one state and you work in another. How do you, what?
Yeah.
What is this madness? It's like, I can live in one county and work in another. And a lot of people, you know, live in the Bay and work nowhere near the Bay, or vice versa. But yeah, just the idea that I can get why people would want to split California, because it is it's a large place with a lot of different people. So, you know, Californians can be a very diversified group. It's very hard to say what a Californian is.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know that any of these plans work, because I can guarantee you certain counties would be like, why are we part of this California? Why am I part of this California? I want to be part of that California. And then now I wonder, can you have like a polka dotted section of California?
Well, and I get, you know, sort of geographically, it is a very long, very large state. I kind of get, but what are the other reasons behind this? I know I've read stuff on it, but now I'm not even like the economic reasons, or the, you know, what are those reasons? That is there logic behind this?
I mean, economically, I don't quite understand, except that there can be large differences between the, like, you know, just average, median, whatever. I was going to say cost of living, and cost of living is part of that, but cost of living is not what I mean. Like income, I guess, between one county and another, even counties that are like right next to each other.
Right.
And so there's possibly some feeling of that, of like, you know, why do I have to pay for that county, essentially? Well, you're in the same state. Think
that's going to change, just splitting the country into, you know, I mean, that's still going to exist. Yeah, the country, you said country, I meant state. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Well, I always just find it very interesting just to think of how we got our states, period. Especially like the ones in the middle. I get we had the whole huge chunk of land from the Louisiana Purchase, and so we were just splitting things up, and that's why those states actually have straight lines as opposed to the rest of us, which were sort of just, you know, drawing things willy-nilly and following rivers or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the other ones, I'm just like, who decided, you know, like when colonists were first coming over from Europe, it's like, okay, this random chunk of land here that will eventually become Rhode Island or whatever. It's just like, I grant you everything from interlatitude, interlongitude. It's like, did you just throw like a dart at what you thought was the map and just was like, there, everything within a certain radius that is enter thing here?
Yes.
Like, how do you define? Because there's always got to be, especially before now when we have technology to more clearly say where things are, when you had to like, you know, walk it and be like, hey, this is 60 miles.
I've always been fascinated by, like Lewis and Clark, who explored the area of Louisiana Purchase, but people who drew maps.
Yes.
Well, I can look from above at something and, you know, maybe get a sense of it, but walking in it, and that's just beyond the realm of my brain understanding. That's fascinating to me that people can walk it and survey it and do things and create a pretty accurate map.
Well, and I was a forestry major for a while in college, and all the forestry majors had to go to forestry camp, which was 8 weeks in the summer up in the mountains. And one of the things we learned was how to walk a chain, which was a chain is either 60 or 66 feet. I've forgotten now, and I didn't graduate with forestry, so that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. But you learn, you know, a chain was a set length of time, and a set length of length. Anyways, but you had to learn based off of your walk stride length how many steps it was for you to make a chain.
Right.
And my stride was somewhere near around like 2.5 feet. So I ended up where it was like so many and a half strides for a chain. And so we spent a whole, I think it was more than one day, just, walking chains of whatever to see if we could get where we were going. We had almost sort of like directions of, walk 6 chains northeast by whatever, and then walk however many chains to see if you could kind of get to where you were supposed to.
Did you?
Ooh, yeah. Close enough, because we did it in groups, and it was so funny because we all, again, knew our stride lengths and what that should represent to a chain, and we all started at the same place. And then even within a group, we were all going the same place, but we'd end up like 10 something feet from each other in random places.
Right.
So we ended up starting as we more and more continued on, being this really oddly shaped diamond that sort of got bigger and bigger as we continued.
Well,
and
I can understand that, especially with a half stride like you had, because that's not a precise measurement of a half a stride.
Well, and you also had to learn how to adjust it if you were like going up hills, because that changes your stride.
Yes, it does.
I can understand why there would have been like, border issues of this is my land, no, this is my land. Like, yeah, how could you possibly actually, save for, again, rivers? A river is a very clear boundary that we can all agree on is there.
Yeah.
But say it's like, I own, these 4 miles this way. It's like, where is that line? How do you figure that out without like GPS? I admire whoever was like, this is a state line and got people to agree to it, because.
Right. And obviously they didn't have GPS, so they had to do things differently than we do them now, but I'm still fascinated by it.
It is. I can't even fashion. I more and more also with microwave and food. I am so thankful to have not been born way back then, because as I like hear things about it, I'm just like,
antibiotics.
How did we get here? How did we not just completely be destroyed by, oh my gosh, that's so hard before we got here.
Right.
Thank you, people who were clearly smarter, stronger, whatever before me.
That's why they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes, and also that we're, things, not only things used to be better back then, but we used to be better, because I couldn't do that now. I couldn't even, I can't, cook over a fire. Are you kidding? I can't cook, period. So that doesn't actually count. But all those things, I would have been like, yeah, if you... So actually, person with a time machine, don't maybe come here unless you're going to take me to the future. Because if you take me to the past, I'm kind of screwed.
Can't we just go visit, certain points of the past, but not stay long enough where you have to cook over a fire?
So only if I can stay in the time. We're now way off.
Yeah, we are. But if I can
stay in the time machine and just sort of look out like tourists on, safari boats or whatever, but not actually have to go out. Because the moment I go out, I'm afraid like something will happen to the time machine.
Now that would
get broken or whatever, and then I'm stuck there. That would be a safari
ride I'd sign up for. When you go to a different point in the past and watch an event and then leave.
Yes, actually, that would. Yeah, I might actually do that too. Yeah. That would be pretty cool. Time machine person.
Get on that.
Hit me up. So we're going to take another short break. Stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. So, if this actually happened, I suppose it would probably actually be more fitting for the TV podcast. But as it hasn't happened yet, and it's just still sort of a rumor that people got very upset about social media, I claim it. It's mine. In that, supposedly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer may be coming back to TV, but slightly different. And
I saw this as well on Twitter yesterday.
People definitely have opinions about this, and will take to Twitter as they do. So this was originally from Joss Whedon, who created it, and then there was that terrible movie, which is the only Buffy I've seen, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I've never seen the movie, and I'm okay with that.
The movie is bad. I did see the musical episode of Buffy, just because my roommate was a big Whedonite, and was like, you have to watch the musical ones, and I like musicals, so I was like, okay, cool. And then I've never seen any other episode of Buffy whatsoever. Sarah is a fan of Buffy.
I've seen every episode more than once, yeah.
Well, yeah, we are complete polar opposites there. But he would be returning as executive producer, but Buffy would maybe be played by a black actress. And people are upset for numerous reasons about this.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, oh, no. Don't, I mean... Buffy's kind of a cult classic, and for good reason. I don't have a problem with there being a diverse cast. Not a problem whatsoever. I just don't see why we have to reboot Buffy. Anyone who's ever seen the series, and, you know, Stacey, I know you haven't seen it, but you've probably heard how it ended. When it ended, they activated every potential Slayer in the world. So there are no shortage of characters that could be on this show. It could be a spin-off. It could be a continuation. It doesn't necessarily need to be a reboot.
Wow, actually, that was a spoiler because I hadn't heard how the show ended. Because at the time it ended, I don't think we were as, you know, in tune with social media as we are now.
Right. And, so, well, you I don't know. It's been, what, 10, 15 years since it's ended? So I'm sorry if I ruined it for you, but...
Right. You had time to have it ruined by other people. It's not Sarah's fault. But so, yeah. So this is where a lot of fans are coming from is they're not against a black Slayer. She just does not have to be Buffy. We don't have to come back with Buffy because we can have evidently the Slayer is a mantle that gets passed along. So it's like the Black Panther.
Yes.
It's not one person. It goes from generation to generation.
Yes. When one Slayer dies, then another Slayer is called.
So this could be the next Slayer or a different Slayer. Or if we have all the Slayers, one of however many millions, thousands, whatever Slayers.
Yes.
So why do we have to particularly make it Buffy?
And you could make fans super duper hugely happy by occasionally bringing back the original cast.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'd watch the heck out of that.
Yeah, there was a comment about someone who was like they would be very upset if whatever actress was not playing like a high school sophomore at 40 something because I guess that was a thing is she was playing a high schooler but she was already over age or something.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, at 90210 that one guy was 36, I think.
Yeah, even back in like Ferris Bueller, the guy who plays Cameron was like 30 or something. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't watch the first Buffy. Again, I watched the movie first, so I was already like, yeah, I know people say it's good, but that movie was bad. So
yeah.
I can't.
And I had a really good friend who watched it from the beginning, and he would try to tell me about it, and I'd be like, that sounds like the stupidest thing I have ever seen in my life. And then one night when I was living in Texas, I was bored and flipping through channels, and I admit I got sucked in season 5 because of Spike, who is a character played by James Marsters. That's what sucked me in, and then I had to go back and rewatch it.
See, and I'm super surprised that I haven't actually... I never wanted to see Buffy because I actually quite like Joss Whedon. I really liked Firefly.
Yes.
And why can't we reboot that? Although, considering the way you ended that movie, maybe not.
Yeah.
I was introduced from my Whedonite roommate to Dr. Horrible, which I love. And actually,
awesome.
Can we do that? Can we have like a sequel to that? Because you could actually totally have a sequel to that. Why don't we have a sequel to that? But yeah.
Have you seen Dollhouse?
I did. I liked Dollhouse.
I liked the first season, and then the second season, they knew they were being canceled, and it went a little weird.
Well, and even the way it ended with the first season, I was like, you took a turn that I wasn't quite expecting, and I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And then, it got too weird for me, and I was like, what have you done with Alan Tudyk? I'm not happy here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I blocked that part.
I'm very upset with what you've done with Alan Tudyk right now.
Yeah.
So, Joss Whedon is not perfect, but he has a very good record, and he also directed, I think, the first 2 Avengers films. Definitely the first one, and I think also the second one, maybe.
I can't remember. I know it was at least one. Yeah.
Yes. So he also has a very strong fan base to the point that, again, Firefly canceled after not even a full season, and then we get a movie.
Yep.
Thank you for that. So people definitely were like aware and had feelings. And again, yeah, I don't feel the need to stop rebooting.
Yeah.
New ideas. Again, if you've ever listened to almost any of my movie episodes, because there's so many reboots, remakes, whatever, you know I don't like reboots, remakes, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. I have a feeling that because the fans feel so strongly about it, they might be like, this is not Buffy.
I was just going to say, what I read yesterday, and I don't know how accurate this was, said that he was maybe going to start pitching it this summer, or that it wasn't even in development or anything. He was just going to be pitching it. So maybe there's going to be such a backlash that he will listen to the fans. I don't know.
But on the other hand, I've been going to movies lately, and there's been ads for Magnum PI, and I'm just like,
no.
What?
Wait, who's in Magnum PI? Is it a movie?
No, it's a TV show. They've rebooted the TV show. There's a new Magnum PI TV show. And again, this is not the TV podcast, but because we feel the need to reboot, remake everything, it's just like,
I mean, not that
nothing is sacred.
I'll be happy that the tiny little 80s shorts won't be. God, please don't let them be making an appearance. But Tom Selleck is Magnum PI. I just can't.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it. I was like, really, that one? Okay? I wouldn't have thought you would ever do that one, but I clearly don't make the moves in Hollywood. I clearly don't understand the business as it is. So
yeah,
we'll see how this goes. Fans will definitely have a strong reaction, whether this happens, whether it doesn't happen, whether the person is Buffy, whether a different person, whether we change it completely, whatever. So
I'm sure you'll be hearing from us again if it moves forward in any way.
Yes. So on that note, we're going to end for today. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.